hadn't broken up with Kelly, met another girl. A couple of days later, met Lindsay. We started seeing each other a little bit, hanging out, and that was a couple of days after I met a different girl who ended up being at the nightclub we went to, and those two had a fight. So these two are now fighting over me in the nightclub, and it's all being written about. Like, again, it just feels like everything is out of control, out of my reach. But yeah, obviously I'm the maker of all of it. This is all my responsibility and my doing, but at the time it just felt very chaotic. But yeah, Lindsay was great, and it was interesting.
And we're looking forward to benchmarking ourselves against them.
It was the first time I was out with the team, 2016 or around then, and he wanted to talk to me about what he'd read about and people I was meeting up with and women-wise in my life, and I just said to him I felt uncomfortable with him talking about it. So it just didn't feel like, no other coach has ever done that to me, but obviously he's quite unique in the way he carries himself. You know, he talks a lot about sex and things like that with people, and I didn't feel comfortable with him talking to me about it, because obviously I'm there trying to play for England, not have a gossip.
Victoria, could you talk us through how you met her?
She is the most beautiful light that I've ever met in my life, and you know, she's had, as everyone has, their experiences in life that can be difficult, but you know, the love that she continues to show is what gave me hope and faith, and made me go even further within to face what I had to and have the space to do so. And you know, during a period where I was all over the place, because you know, Caroline had passed, and then a couple of weeks later I found out I'm going to be a dad, and then months later I found out that doesn't come to fruition. So everything in my life that I felt was solid was shaken, and yeah, she's the greatest person I've ever met. With how she faces everything, it's been the most beautifully challenging, rewarding, amazing relationship I've ever had, and it came at the most perfect time for me. If it wasn't for River, I wouldn't be with the love of my life. He's brought two people that probably wouldn't have been opened up to the idea of love together, and in doing so, you know, we have something very special. Obviously, I wish more than anything he was here. We remember that in the way we behave every day. Like, love is the thing that connects us in that way. So yeah, he changed my world. There was a time when we were together, it was sort of at the end of our relationship. We were still together, but it was constantly like pushing and pulling the whole time. So I could feel it was on the way out for a period. And then we was out in Vegas in a strip club, and she encouraged me to have a dance. I was like, okay, fine, went to have a dance. I was 22 years old talking rubbish to a stripper. My emotions were all over the place. I wasn't able to really fully handle what love was. I didn't recognize it. Love for self, love for anything in that way. And then she overheard in the toilet that stripper saying that I was wanting to meet up with her. And yeah, she then came out, made a beeline for me, slapped me across the face. It was interesting to see that all the time. And then we were constantly talking, we got back together, we met up a couple of years later, and then we started going back out together again. Yeah, we ended up getting back together, and it wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite what I wanted. It was my ego I was fulfilling, or trying to feel like I was getting what I want, and I behaved in a way which wasn't great. And yeah, we split up. Yeah, I felt like it was fair game. That's how I thought back then. But then when I broke up with Kelly, I was in LA one time, me and Tom made up. We reunited, became friends again, and it was just bygones be bygones. I obviously behaved in ways which, you know, were driven by a certain impulse I had. Well, I think anyone that's behaving like that, there's obviously stuff going on, and I know it's glamorous and fun to write about because it's sex or it's drugs or it's this and that, but we all try and distract our minds in some way, and for me that was what I was doing because of the experience I had, the lack of connection I felt growing up. So it was that connection I was always trying to chase, but yet I would know I was emotionally unavailable, but yet that part of interacting and enjoying and the meeting people, and I loved that element, but then I wasn't ever letting anyone in within my heart or my truth because I guess I didn't feel worthy enough because that was my experience, you know, growing up. Everyone has their experience. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone's got their own thing to work over. You could have two perfect parents, but that can also leave you always feeling slightly less of, because you're always having to look up to someone, to be stood on your own 2 feet. For me, my welcome into the world was two fantastic people, but my dad abandoned when I was young, and my mum wasn't able to share the love that she might have felt and hasn't been able to. So I have to go back to that, because that's what my experience was rejection and abandonment continuously. But yet, outside of that, in sport, I was getting all of this from every coach, from people, adulation, fun and joy. So therefore, when I'm getting that, I'm putting everything I can into it. And I took that joy, and then at some point around 20, 21, the thing that I thought I loved so much, that started turning on me too, because of my behaviors and things on the field and injuries and so on. So now my world's rocked. Who do I speak to? So when I'm going through these moments that are difficult, that I'm in the press, I'm not able to phone A or B to have a conversation to be like, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm handling. I'm wearing it all. I don't have the people to go and speak to about it. And if I was, it wasn't the most positive conversation. So I wasn't ever able to share my heart and my feelings of what was going on. So I was just bottling up loads, thinking I got a game next week, go and play. That was my focus. So the reason why I felt like that at that point was, I had all this love inside of me, all this beauty inside of me that everyone has, but my experiences weren't able to show me that. So I was always looking externally for validation. And when I wasn't getting that, and then I felt myself walking on the street, or I was behaving in a way, and I was not being honest, and I was messaging other girls or doing whatever I was doing. You're doing that in the moment because you're just behaving on impulse, but ultimately no one feels good doing that. That's going to wear on your body at some point. So that's why internally I felt like that. I didn't feel like there was a tomorrow. I didn't feel like I could go and be happy tomorrow, because everyone was writing such negative things about me, even before anything bad was going on, really. And like I said, I didn't have people necessarily to turn to at that point. I had great rugby coaches, but then when I met Steve Black at 24, I finally had someone that I could turn to and talk to. So I was experiencing, this professional world, this media world, going through my life without much support in terms of emotional and well-being in that way. So obviously I wore a lot of it, and I found it difficult to navigate my way out of it at times.
I mean, your license obviously must have felt like there wasn't a way out, because you decided to make that, try and purchase a gun.
Yeah.
Could you talk us through what was going through your head at that time and how you sort of went about that?
Yeah, I was messaging someone that I met back and forth, and I was like saying I want it, and then bailing out, because obviously I was thinking of not doing it, thinking of doing it. That was what I felt like the way out was, but it wasn't. It was, I just wanted the pain stopped, just the way I felt to stop, and to see some light. And I'm so grateful that obviously that didn't happen, and the Sun got wind of it, and we're going to run a story, and I started seeing a psychiatrist and talking about things. But again, the psychiatrist element of things, it just felt a bit disconnected, because there's a clipboard involved. And like I say, I'm so fortunate that I met Steve Black along the way. I had my physio, Kevin Didlow, people that were giving me some amazing support and love at those times to, keep going forward. Well, yeah, it takes a long time, because obviously still lots of stuff went on in my life. But someone valuing me and seeing me from my heart early on was a huge part of it. No matter what mistakes or errors I had made, they were like, this person here, you have a right to be happy. You have a right to see yourself for who you are and not carry the baggage of those mistakes forever. So that's why I did the book, to show the chaos of my mind, how these are all the things that I went through, and I used to wear them and carry them so much, but that doesn't make me who I am. That's not the person I am, because, I was behaving as I was without knowledge of where it's coming from. Just trying to feel better, trying to feel good along the way.